And happy Tuesday night, everybody, here live on the Divots and Pivots show. We join you again. This is episode 27, so welcome back again. And if it's your first time, welcome for the first time. We're glad to have you here as we wrap up the review of what the 3M Open gave us last week, how Bud kicked my ass on DK, and we will always get to some good old poking fun at the Live Tour and everything that has news coming out of that. Your Sergios, your Charles Barkleys, your all that fun stuff. So stick around. We'll make sure to cover it all for you, as well as, we got the Rocket Mortgage coming up this week at the Detroit Golf Club. So we're going to cover it all for you tonight. And as always, Mr. Bud Copeland, good evening.
What's shaking? I love that you say happy Tuesday evening because it's fucking Tuesday. It's already been a long work week, but that doesn't mean that we don't have exciting golf ahead of us. Yes, we're in Detroit. I would say my native country, but my family fled Michigan for warmer weather before I came around. But yeah, my dad's sisters, everybody's from the area. I still got cousins, aunts, uncles. It's nice to see professional golf come to downtown Detroit because this is the first tournament to be played completely within Detroit proper. Oakland Hills is just outside, and there's been some other crossover, but this is 2019. It's a relatively new tournament to the tour, but as you said pre-show, it's already making a splash. You got some winners that have got names. One that we're not mentioning for a while until the short brim cap comes to his senses. But aside from that, once again, we're at a Donald Ross course. They stretch it out to 7,300 yards for these guys. And it's just going to be another don't outsmart yourself like we tried to last week at the 3M. But no, it's going to be a good week. I don't know if you saw Cam Smith and some of the videos of him floating around drinking out of the claret jug with his caddy and whatnot. But if you haven't,
I didn't see the ones of him actually drinking, but I know he said he was going to have a certain number of claret jugs.
20 to be exact.
20,
but
okay.
There's one where he's in the background, shirt off, full mullet. I swear he's got a shrine to Joe Dirt somewhere, and I that's one more reason why I love him. But he said they're shaking his margarita mixer or whatever it is, his bar shaker, and his caddy is just right in front of the camera, just cranking back whatever out of the claret jug. Now, Jack Nicklaus did say, all right, and I got to say, nothing's really slicing me this week. I had a great week. I kicked your ass in DK.
I know, you really did. It was a very pitiful showing by me.
I got a peacock where I can, because let's be honest, most of the time my tail's between my legs. But I'm staying alive in my other league. We're about to head into the playoffs, which the playoffs do get fun because it chops it down from 16 to like 12 to 8, and so you gotta win to stay in, just like the FedEx Cup. So nothing's really slicing me, but something I want to get back to was Jack Nicklaus and some of the older guys did say that they felt it was a little disrespectful to drink out of the claret jug and do some of these things. Henrik Stenson, before he cashed his check, sold his soul, and resigned his Ryder Cup captaincy. Jokes on the soul part. I don't really think evil of the Live Tour guys. I just like to poke fun at them because they're low-hanging fruit. Let's be honest. What else do we do in sports talk but kind of, pile on? Anyway,
we're here.
There's videos of Henrik out there with the claret jug in his water ski vest and his life preserver. He's like pouring milk or eating cereal out of it. So throughout the years, this thing that used to be just the Stanley Cup has kind of crossed over. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on there's a two-part question, so make sure you're taking notes. And tell them you'll call them back.
What a rookie move that was.
What are your thoughts on just using trophies to celebrate like that in general? And then B, the Open Championship and the claret jug specifically. I'll hang up and listen.
It doesn't bother me. It's, I get, obviously the claret jug is historic and timeless, and there's a lot of people that in the golf industry that want to cherish that and bow to it and not do anything fun with it. But look, these guys earn their time with that cup, just like in the NHL. The teams earn their time with that Stanley Cup. As long as they're not purposely trying to damage it, deface it, or anything like that, then look, let them have their fun with it. I mean, look, this is a new age of sports, a new age of athlete, a new age of personalities in the sports world. And if someone like Cam Smith wants to celebrate by drinking a few drinks out of the trophy that he earned and he's going to be holding for just a short time, then let him drink out of it. Because you know what? that thing probably gets polished by its handler 20 times a day because it's probably the only thing that handler has to do most days at that job. So it's going to get cleaned. It's not going to be tarnished. Let it get some beer in it. I don't mind it.
Do you know how badly I want to be the get off my lawn guy and back up Mr. Nicholas on this one? But I wholeheartedly agree. It's, let the kids have their fun. Yeah. Also, it's comforting knowing that the one you're seeing out there on social media with Cam Smith making the rounds, that's not the claret jug. That's not that. There are 4 of them. There's the original that is still on display at the RNA Clubhouse, has been since 1928. Walter Hagen was the last pro to actually get that claret jug and take it around with him. And then they started making a replica to give to the champion. And then there's 2 more that get used for like museums and touring purposes. And it's one of those things. It's kind of like if you saw the Ryder Cup on college football, college football game day last fall. Then you saw it in Wisconsin with Steve Stricker. You saw it with Russell Henley outside of the University of Georgia Stadium, Sanford Stadium. And so so anybody who just had an Easter Bunny moment. Yeah, the claret jug he's drinking out of them. Now, that said, it is the same one, allegedly, that they made for Mr. Hagen. That's cool in and of itself. I think it's close enough. So it's kind of one of those things where if you have a signed copy of the Declaration of Independence, but it wasn't like the first one, it was like the 11th one that was sent to Connecticut, and it's been on display there.
It still holds a plate. It's still something... It still has a level.
I'm sorry, I went straight National Treasure on you. I should know better than to bring up Nick Cage with you, because I know how big you are into the fantasy football world, and I know that image of Aaron Rodgers showing up to camp in the white tank top with the long hair. Can we chop that up for a minute?
All of the Con Air references were so spot on. All of the Con Air references.
Hands off the bunny.
Yeah, put the bunny back in the box. They were just so spot on. And then I saw people picking like what song should be playing as Aaron Rodgers walks in like this, and like there was some good ones. There was Walk This Way. There was
Slow Ride. That's
a good one. Slow Ride's a good one. Yep, that's a nice one too.
Either that or some nice polished techno.
Polished tech. What does polished techno sound like?
Clean, polished techno. If you ever saw the movie with Zac Efron and his buddies, they're like construction workers who also are techno DJs. It's a dope film.
What?
I can't remember the name of it.
I've never even heard of this movie.
I've got a strange crush on Zac Efron and all things that he's done. But after High School Musical, I wasn't a big High School Musical fan. Didn't like it. I was working at summer camps at the time, and it dominated the psyche. But yeah, no, just some nice, crisp, clean techno. Nothing that's too fancy. Nothing that's too out there. Just something that's nice and original. And you know why? Because Detroit is the home of techno. Everybody associates it with Motown. That's true. Little did we know, techno is also the home of Detroit. You're welcome, America.
Is it really? I did not know that.
Yeah,
you're 100% right. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that either.
I mean, it's all part of the service here on Divots and Pivots. And if that's wrong, then make sure you at the Divots and Pivots account and not at This Buds for You. Remember.
At This Buds for You is a perfect place to add that one.
So no, anyways, full circle, coming back to it. Cam Smith, get off my lawn. Actually, no, I agree with you, man. Load it up. I'd be taking shots of bourbon out of it pretty much every day if I won the Open Championship.
Remember, these are like those the Stanley Cup, the Claret, these specific trophies are dreams for these guys. Like
what trophy is a dream for you? All of sports, you get one. You get one. Come on, don't be that guy. I
just want a trophy in my life.
All right, fine. All right, listen, fine. I know have a fear. You have a fear of commitment, so I'll give you some options. No, you Lombardi, World Series. I don't want anything to do with the World Series trophy because I'd be too afraid of breaking one of the little spindles. I got a 2-year-old. I don't need her losing an eye.
The exact first thought that went in my head when you said that was I'll destroy that thing.
MLB's out.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Lombardi. I think the most, and I think it's because it literally goes to so many guys get to like touch that thing and hold that thing on the team. Like it's just the largest team effort by the most amount of guys Like when you compare how many guys
fair.
it takes for the large, because obviously hockey is a massive team effort as well. It's just a smaller group of guys. Like so that's why like the Stanley Cup or the Lombardi are probably the two highest for me. Like it would be back and forth between both of those for me.
The Claret Jug was never on my list, and it still isn't. I would actually take the Stanley Cup over the Claret Jug because, again, growing up a kind of in a Detroit family, I was a little bit of a Red Wings fan. Steve Yzerman was my guy on the Mario Lemieux Sega Genesis hockey. Shouts to the Gen Xers out there listening.
I mean, did the jackets count? Does the green jacket count as a trophy?
Now here's the thing: is they do get a trophy. There's a trophy for the champion of Augusta National, and there's a actual champion trophy, whatever, in the clubhouse.
Sure.
It is the clubhouse, and that argument comes up all the time. It's like, is that worth it? To me, no, mostly because once I've done some research and found out that the jacket quality itself is shitty. There's nothing really special about anything of it.
It's really meant to be worn that one time a year as a past champion and then just put it away to safekeeping.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. Tiger has five Masters. He's got one green jacket. They might have issued him several over the years. Like Nick Faldo recently exposed that he's got a couple, not because he's won a couple times, but because he's expanded the belly or that, and the other. So those guys get one. And then when they win again, it's usually either the same one that they won before coming out to put on or whatnot. Now, the defending champion gets to take their green jacket with them. They get to go wear it all around. I think Gary Player one time, quote unquote, forgot afterwards. And his answer to Augusta was basically, if you want it, you can come down here to South Africa and get it. Otherwise, I'll see y'all in the spring and bring it back. It was kind of, and this was, I mean, you got to remember, this is the 60s too. Let's be honest. Augusta National is not going to let that shit fly in the age of 20 of digital media. That would be a real quick, see you later. But I would say it's got to be, for me personally, the U.S. Open trophy for golf. Sure. I think a close second. A close second's the World Cup, and I think it's
okay. I'm glad you said that because I almost said it because it's a every 4 year event, and it's like it's so incredibly hard to win that trophy. Like, so I did almost say that. It's definitely like in my top 3, probably, but definitely top 5.
Well, mass genocide is the most exhausting activity one can engage in next to soccer, so that's why the World Cup kind of. It's a line from a movie. It's called Dogma. Look it up. All right. So, anyways, I think you said you said Lombardi Trophy. Shocker, says the fantasy football guy, and shocker. I said the U.S. Open. So no surprise.
And then we met in the middle. We both agreed on the World Cup, which is coming up. So,
is it this year?
Yeah, it's later this year. Yeah.
I was today old.
What is the date actually? What is the date actually? Because that's a good call. Because
did we qualify this time?
Yes.
Actually, I think I saw an article, and it wasn't even like our
end of November. Oh, it's gotta be. Oh, when's Thanksgiving this year? Hold on, are we gonna have some Thanksgiving soccer to go with Thanksgiving football this year?
We're certainly gonna need something to pivot to at that time of year. So
that is true.
Where is the World Cup? You're looking at
it's in Qatar, whatever you want to pronounce it.
I know.
Oh my God, we are going to have some.
Talk to me.
Thanksgiving morning World Cup soccer
that leads into the football trip
because it's in Qatar. So there's 3 games that day. No, there's 4 games that day. Sorry, we have 5 a.m., we have 8 a.m., 11 a.m., and 2 p.m. That's going to be fantastic. I wish they were better games. There's just not very good matches necessarily, but still.
Are you a big soccer guy or are you a big World Cup guy? I'm just a big World Cup guy. Like, I'm a big, oh my God, this is a big event, because even my wife will say, like, you don't care about soccer? I'm like, you're right. I don't. I do care about entertaining sports, though.
So I do. So I would probably be leaning more towards, especially from other people who are fans, like overall soccer fans, would probably consider me more of a World Cup guy. But I do, not as closely as all the other sports, follow the New England Revolution, because up here in New England, I know what's going on with them. So I mean, and I follow the international friendlies and the lead ups to the World Cup. So like, I don't sit there and watch every game or like do a ton of research on it or anything like that, or like have this fanatical kind of experience with it. Other than when when the U.S. beat Mexico for the CONCACAF championship. Was it last fall?
God bless you.
I know what you're
talking about. Yeah,
I remember that game. like I was losing my mind. That game was so freaking good. Like it's so. I am not just a World Cup fan, but I'm also not like a diehard. Like I don't have an EPL favorite team or a Champions League favorite team. Like I don't. It's just I kind of pay attention to the Revolution because they're here locally, and then I pay attention to what's going on internationally, and that's about it.
Fair answer. So speaking of international too, the Windsor Tunnel that connects Windsor, Canada, and Detroit, it goes underwater. It's like one of the only 3 international boundaries that is underwater. There's another fun fact for you. And also something like 75% of the liquor that came to America during the Prohibition era came through Detroit, like came right through Makes the sense. Windsor, Detroit, border there. So more fun facts.
Quick side, other fun fact here. If you like fun facts, check out Bud's. What are you calling it? Are you calling it a newsletter, or what do you call it? Just like a blog?
Sure, it's a daily newsletter.
Okay, so it's got like awesome, like quick short read, like just
so it's usually
about the day of the week or the month or whatever the date, right?
Yeah, it's usually something that happened on this day, but not today.
Yeah.
And then I had about a half a dozen. Actually, you know what it was? I said I wanted to put together a quick 9 bullets because I'm a golf junkie and 9 holes. But anyways, so it's usually a blurb, something that happened today, but not today. And then 6 quick bullets about stuff that is happening throughout the world. I follow the mantra that we followed back in my camp counselor days when we were on days off. No talking about politics, religion, or work. So I usually steer clear of those. Sure. And just focus on like culture, sports, history, tech, business, just fun facts or fun stories throughout the world during the day. I'll throw a tune for you, soundtrack to my life, just something that fits the mood. And then usually a little shout out, happy birthdays or something that I'm reading. So thank you, Andrew. It
was a good read. I read it this morning. I've read it other mornings. When you said fun facts, it just made me think of it. I want to make sure we get, so that's the vibe. Check out the vibe.
Check out the vibe.
Yes. But anyway, sorry to interrupt your fun facts about alcohol coming to the United States illegally back in the 20s.
Alcohol coming to me legally right now.
Yeah, there we go. I know. I forgot to bring one up.
No, but we should talk about golf at some point.
We really should, because there is. I mean, we get the Rocket Mortgage. There's some decent names going playing.
Do you even want to review the 3M? I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch. I watched none of it. Like I'm not.
So the only thing I want to say about the 3M was, so what was the score at the end of the day on Saturday?
Are you talking about you and I? Or are you talking about the
No, the actual of the tournament? Because it was.
Yeah, we should talk about Scott Piercy. That my heart goes out to that man.
But what at the end, it was like 7:00 Saturday night. All I saw on Twitter from golf aficionados was, it's it's such a we're getting robbed of a Sunday because it's pretty much all locked in the bag now. Whatnot. Like there was a lot of talk like that on Twitter. It was like tomorrow's just formality. Doesn't really matter what happens. And then Tony Finau comes out and does what he needs to do to counter Scott Piercy's tumble back to earth, and Tony Finau comes out victorious.
So I told you recently I had an 8 on the opening hole of a pub links qualifier.
Yes.
I mean. Granted, there are degrees of separation between me and Scott Piercy and what happened, but watching him take a 10,
that's
not a 10. Sorry, a triple. It wasn't a 10. Sorry, it was a triple. But watching him take that triple and go bunker, water, and then and the best was the camera. So this was the one thing I did watch was kind of the last few holes.
Yeah,
cuts to Tony Finau and Tony's watching it. And Tony's been there before, and Tony's won. And I mean, and right there, you kind of see he's not grinning because those guys aren't like that. I mean, they'll tell you right now, you don't
feel he feels this pain,
right? And you don't plan on your opponent shit in the bed. They'll tell you, you plan on them making everything that way. You're not surprised. But he did kind of grin, and it wasn't like a, but he just kind of was like, all right, game on. Oh my God, like this is why you stay focused. Because I did the same thing. I tuned it out Sunday, and then I went to Target, nice little Sunday, did some grocery shopping, and when we got back, I pulled out my phone and I saw that Tony Finau had won. I mean, literally, just I was
And you're like, wait a minute, well, what did I miss?
Oh, but it could have been better. And remember, our friend Caitlin Moyer was on the show a while back at the beginning. She was at the 3M doing some promotional work, and she got a really cool selfie with a quote unquote accidental selfie with Tony Finau. You can tell he's like signing autographs and stuff, and she had her phone like got it down in there. So shouts to Caitlin Moyer and Chad's new boyfriend, Mr. Sung Jae Im. I mean, he made a run. I thought if this happens, we're gonna have a full blown. I don't know. We're gonna have to come up with a name for it, but we're gonna have a little fascination with Sung Jae.
Yeah, we'd have to have Chad back on to tell us all about how he gave him the winning tricks to winning it that had happened.
I want to know why. I want to know why he was betting the house on Sung Jae, because he had something. But again, Rocket Mortgage back to Detroit this week.
Yes. Back
to the Donald Ross, the Bermuda grass, all of these little details that normally I think I'd take into consideration.
Hold on, is it Bermuda? I thought it was bent.
It could be.
Sorry, sorry, you're gonna throw my whole model off now.
Oh, sweet Jesus, you're gonna prove my point.
Go for it. Continue.
I can't. I think splicing DFS stats, especially at Fantasy National, it's kind of like the movie Inception.
Yep.
You can, taking a certain area like strokes gained or par 5 efficiency or bogeys are better, avoidance. Taking one area, and maybe going 1 degree down is safe. So you say I'm gonna look at par 3 efficiency, maybe par 3 efficiency, 200 to 250. Okay, cool. If you start saying par 3 efficiency, 200 to 250 in even numbered days back, you start going down that rabbit hole, and honestly, your ROI is nil, and you're starting to just basically become a sunk cost. That said, I'm oversimplifying.
And I will say, when I was making the joke about screwing up my model, for as far as green types go, I only ever use it for just strokes gained putting. So I'll have, like, the way I do it is, I'll have just like my season stats for my key stats, but then I'll also have the same key stats for correlating courses. The strokes gained putting, when I do that for correlating, I only do the green type, and then I take the green type back off for all my other correlating courses key stats. Okay. Because for me, it really only affects the putting, but I'm not thinking about it affecting, the approach and anything else. I don't want that factoring into, just because some guy did really good on a course, hitting the fairways on a course that just happened to have bent grass and not polo grass, that's not going to matter.
Well, how is it affecting your DK points? Because the last time I checked, I'm at 1,043.5 and you're at 896.5.
Yeah. Like I said, I had a bad week this week.
I'm not good at talking shit. I feel
so. You know what? This was a week where I was like, there's a chance. I almost had 5 of 6, and just like that, I just as easily had only 3 of 3. But even if I had 5 of 6, it would have been like a very low scoring 5 of 6, because I didn't have enough of the high end finishers. Like, all my guys barely made the cut. So it was just a middling week for me. It was just a little disappointing, to say the least. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you have been coming so far, that you put together a couple good weeks here.
Thank you, Obi-Wan. I've had a good teacher and trainer, and the Jedi Council has been kind. A couple of quick side items before we start digging into tiers and whatnot, because we've made it all this way and we haven't shit on Sergio yet. So I figured we needed to take a few minutes.
Sergio.
No, let's talk Liv for a few minutes, because a couple of things. Liv is coming up here in the area, and Divots and Pivots would love to go. Liv, if you're listening, we're going to apply for some credentials. We'd love to come. We'd love to ask some questions. We'd love to have some content that we can share with our listeners and followers. So look for that coming up. And if we're not, I want to
be in those press conferences. Did you see that video I sent you?
Yes. And you know what? You're the reason why we'll never get tour credentials either. We'll get in there and you're going to ask some. No, they let those
guys, and those are a group of guys that are on TikTok that always playing with professional golfers and razzing. They're a fun group of guys.
They are the best. Was it the back off challenge?
Yeah,
those guys. Yeah, those guys are freaking.
Yeah.
They've made me literally spit out coffee in a meeting before, because I was supposed to.
Did you see the one they did with John Daly, where they brought the taco receipts and his prenups? I'm not even sure if I can talk about it on this one, because they said this part I can, but the second half, maybe his response I can't, but because they said, "How is it that your Taco Bell receipts are higher than your total prenups with your ex-marriages or something like that?" And he was like, "Because I like to eat." And then he swung the golf club, like, because he can take it.
Oh,
And he
I
doesn't even
love.
care.
I did see a couple of his responses.
Yeah,
and
he gives it right back.
Yeah, and
So
so I like seeing
I'm gonna
that.
say, because I don't think we have many young ears listening to us at this point right now. But the best response to it, and like I said, check them out on TikTok. I'll pull up their actual channel name as I'm talking here, but his best response to that was after he swung, then he walked away and he goes, "Yeah, Taco Bell tastes a lot better than all my ex-wife's."
I saw. I saw that one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, just imagine.
That one made me spit my drink out. Oh. TikTok just started playing. I'm trying to look up these guys' actual TikTok name. My bad.
I'm telling you, it's the Chinese satellites controlling your phone, man. No, I'm just kidding. Just TikTok. No, so anyways, the Live Tour is coming. Live Tour is coming international here, and so it's gonna be a good time. So even if we're not there with Divots and Pivots, might be out there on Saturday with the family just to check it out. I think maybe that might be because I mean let's be honest, what they're shooting for, which is let us be the fun alternative. That said, they might have
seem to like it.
Well, I mean, come on, man. The money and stuff. And you look at who's going over there.
Yeah.
Maybe expectations they have for themselves, or they've already settled those expectations. We talked about it last week a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the guys who are going, I've won my majors. What more do I need to prove? This looks like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
David Faraday going lends some credibility to it. I love that Charles Barkley said the clock's ticking. If they don't give me an offer by Thursday night, I'm out. To me, what that says is because he officially has sponsors. Nobody's really said much. They are going to let it play out because it's Chuck. But at the same time, I think somebody probably quietly said, like, yeah, we'll let you play this out. There's no guarantees on the other end, but like, we're not going to wait forever. So like, and that's also, or he could just, it's Charles Barkley, man. I mean, nobody can predict him. It could have just been him himself being like, hey, I'm sick of waiting and just give me an offer or I'm going to keep moving on. Cause he was great. He goes, anybody who says they're not doing it for the money is lying. Of course it's for the money. He goes, it's not for the honor and prestige. This is not some, he goes, he didn't say this, but his comments brought this to mind. If this thing does live, pun intended, and maybe 25 years from now, the Live Tour New England at blah, blah, blah becomes something people actually care about winning.
Sure.
You do have to give new things time. And they still can make adjustments. Like they already have announced for next year, they're going to introduce some sort of relegation status for the lowest ranked people. There's also going to be, new qualifications for who gets in the tournaments and a pecking order for that, obviously based on contracts and details and appearances. So they are kind of unfurling the next few steps. They are an official partnership with the kind of being co-sanctioned by the Asian Tour starting next year. So there are some moving pieces that might be just enough to keep them where they want to be. I still don't see it as a place where fresh out of college or youngsters are going to come, because I do think what's going to happen is that they've set the precedent for what talent is going to come. People who are either past their prime or maybe past, they've already done what they wanted to do, and they have other priorities now, whether it's time, money, both. We mentioned last week, maybe it's people who want to give back to their caddies and set them up for life. Yep. It's like, hey, bro, you did this for me, and now I promised you this. So there's a lot of reasons why the people are doing it. I want to see it firsthand. I still don't think it's ever going to give the tour a run for its money. It's going to give them a run for its talent.
Sure.
But I also think what we're going to find out, because the tour announced this week actually, quick pause. We open this by saying we're going to get on a little El Nino, and we are going to hear in a second, because this is directly related to what I was about to say.
We will not forget about him. Don't worry.
Good God, no. But the tour announced earlier. I don't even know if you saw this. This was earlier today.
Was it just 5 hours ago? It might be the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the new points consideration for the playoffs, which to me is just kind of like a no-brainer, right? They basically announced, and for the uninitiated, the FedEx Cup playoffs, last three events of the season, the top 125 in the points race get in, then it goes down to top 60, then top 30, and then the winner of that wins the whole shebang. So in the past, if somebody in the top 125 had to drop out for medical reasons, withdrawal, whatever, then there was no replacing it. They had what they called like a hard cut or a hard limit. Yeah. And now this year they just announced they're going to introduce a quote unquote soft limit or a soft cut or whatever they're calling it. In other words, those players who have been disqualified from the tour because their participation in LIV has opened up spaces for players that are now moving up into that consideration for FedEx Cup playoffs. Yep. And I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice way of, and the way that Jay Moynihan or Moynihan, whatever, the commish, the way he explained it was perfect. It made perfect sense. This, I'll put it the not polite way. I mean, this freaking circus should not negatively impact, this is the promise we made to our players. We're not going to let this kind of stuff negatively impact the commitment that they've made, the contracts that they've signed. Mm-hmm. Again, I do think if 12 guys got, the COVID or monkeypox, then and they had to miss the playoffs, then I would agree. Like, don't bring these next 12 guys in. But this is one of those. It is a one-off situation. It's unique. We'll see what they do next year, and I think it might be a moot point because he's already said if you're playing on LIV, you're not playing here. One thing I noticed they didn't do is they didn't shut the door to come back. I don't think they've actually said. I don't think it's just you're suspended indefinitely. So we might see a handful of guys come back to this tour next year. Now, Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. He's been doing it for months. Remember when he was looking for his ball in the rough and he was pissed about how
I'm so sick of this.
They timed him because of the time it took him to walk over the creek or something like that.
No, he did get screwed on that one, by the way.
He did. But I'm just talking
about
his
behavior
I can't wait to get out of here or whatever like that. Like
right. So he laid the foundation. He's already burned his bridge. I don't, good riddance. See you later.
No,
Hasta la vista, Nino. So I'm fine with that. What I love is that he just came out and an interview was leaked or said that basically that like he really, really, really wants to stay on the DP World Tour though, because you know, the Ryder Cup access and this, that, and the other, and he wants to play the. He had a meeting with the commissioner and he told him, I want to play my minimum and I want to do my part to uphold my membership and the blah, 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 blah. And the commission just said, that's nice. But in the end, we are going to do what we need to do for us, which
he's
I
just
don't
been
care.
So vocal about bashing, not just saying that I'm going to the LIV and I'm going to enjoy the LIV. Everyone else has at least been like, this is why I like the LIV. And that's been their way of kind of backhanded.
I think it's hilarious.
Like attacking the PGA, but he's just flat out come out and just shot down the PGA, the DP, like all of that.
I think it's so. I mean, it's so him. It's so people go, why is he so hateable? Stuff like this.
This is why.
But and he said, okay, so let me get this straight.
A big baby, that's why.
Yeah. Let me get this straight. You want people's understanding that you were frustrated and upset, so you stormed a little tantrum. And when somebody said, hey, buddy, there might be consequences for this, you went, well, no, I don't want there to be consequences.
Yeah.
Go F yourself, dude. And then he tries to couch it by saying, well, I had a really good conversation with John Rahm after the Open Championship. I don't care if you talk to Sigmund Freud. You made your bed, buddy. And I don't usually get this livened up about this kind of stuff because I really am a live and let live kind of guy. No pun intended on that one. That's actually from pre-pun or pre-live tour life. I just moments like that kind of pompous, arrogance, and this is coming from me, is something that it's just, come on, dude, you got to own it. The only way you are, I really do hope that the DP World Tour, they have signaled that they would like to follow suit and for the integrity of this and their relationships. Yes. And I hope they do because nobody's bigger than the game. And I think that was the point that Tiger was making and Jack was making. No
one's ever been bigger than the game.
No, I mean, and I get what Mr. Norman's trying to do, Mr. Norman. I get what the Sharks trying to do though, and say no. Also, nobody's bigger than the tour. Yes. But then I go back to the very beginning of all this, which was just because you have a point doesn't mean what you're saying and how you're going about making it is palatable or agreeable. So if your behavior is not agreeable, or maybe your source of funding is less than agreeable, then everything else is going to live under that cloud, right? I mean,
and you got to understand that going in. You can't be mad at people but that's the thing. But a lot of people who are firmly on the LIV side or like get mad that people get mad about it. Well, it's come. This is how it was built. It comes with the territory now. Like,
and the money argument works both ways. Oh, I'm going over here for the money. Then you are potentially taking money from me in the long run. You're trying to build a competitor and take the best of the best with you. It's so that's where, again, my fascination and understanding as a spectator and a pod, whatever the hell it is we do,
Yes.
is much more just because, like, oh my God, look at that, there's a fire over there. I hope it was in that building.
So in turn, in case you've missed the last 2 minutes, these are the last 2 minutes you need to cut. We need a cut of not to cut out of the show. We need a clip cut of Bud here, because it's gonna the baby talk you did of Sergio was just spot on. Because Sergio,
it bugged me. I'm sorry. The
such
comments
a big
bugged me.
baby. No, it does because he gets he does it to me too, where it's hard. Look, it's hard to get pissed off at golf or at golf players. At least at PGA Tour players.
Golfers. I think they just call them golfers.
Yeah, did I just say golf players? Somebody come through the screen and smack me. I am tired.
I see a T-shirt on the horizon.
I'm a golf player.
I'm a golf player. Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm a golf player.
Hi, Andrew. All right.
Geez.
Before we go completely off the rails, quick pause and a quick shout out.
Yes.
The gold the Piper Gold delivered again on Saturday. 4 birdies en route to a 75. I actually had it going on the front. I made the turn at 34, and then I got bit by the 3-putt bug on the back, and I hit a ball in the water. So let's just say
that'll do it.
Yeah, standard issue, front 9, back 9, tail of 2 9s. But thank you once again to Piper Golf and the Clutch for making us play good and feel good. And once as always, and as always, I got a 2-year-old, and so it's been a long couple days for me as well. I feel you. But as always, thank you to Fantasy National.
We get a lot of I was going to say typos, which does not make sense because we are speaking. But
they're called gaffes. Verbal typos are called gaffes.
Yes,
we are gaff-tastic. I need to reach out. I've been talking about this for a couple shows. I need to reach out to Fantasy National Golf Club and find out what the fascination with the moose is, because I have a similar fascination with moose.
That's right. You have brought it up a few times. But we probably should.
We'll ask fun fact, and then we'll get into it. Fun fact, we'll get into it.
Let's have fun.
Because it has to do with the moose. My mom's ex-boyfriend's name before she met my dad, Moose.
Moose.
How about that? Guy's name was fucking Moose. Anyways, so let's do it. Let's get back to the Rocket Mortgage Classic, this 3-year-old gem of a tournament. And if you go down a Wikipedia hole on it, you'll find out that it replaced Tigers tournament, not the Genesis, not the Hero. He used to do the Quicken Loans that benefited his, and then this came out of it. Before that, it was a different one. So it's one of those funny tournaments that's kind of been around forever. And this tournament specifically is only 3 years old, and it's not even one of those that changed titles. Like this actual event is only 3 years old.
Yeah,
but its spot in the tour calendar has been around for a while. So it's an interesting tournament. And outside of its warm up or looking into the FedEx Cup points, and really, it's a bubble watch kind of week. Bubble, not Bubba, but bubble watch in the sense of who's going to be hitting this soft 125 by the time we get down to Memphis in a couple of weeks. So,
and there's some names here. We got Patrick Cantlay. We got last week's champion Tony Finau. And it was Willie Z, Cameron Young, Max Homa, Cameron Davis. So there's some good young names in this field this week, along with some old time favorites and Kevin Kisner and one of your favorites, Sahith Theegala. I think I said that right this time. So
he's gonna win soon, man. It's him and Will Zalatoris.
So I texted you this past week. I said, why do we keep playing Theegala? Because it was pretty early on. It was way too early for me to be trashing him. I'll be honest, but he was like +5 at some, or he's +3 through 5 or so. It was something like that. I was just like, son, he's got us again, because he looks so good on paper.
It's not him. It's us. It's not him. It's us. Don't.
Yes.
Did you see real quick? You just said it. There are some names. Tony Finau's back. Patrick Cantlay's up there this week. Speaking of Patrick Cantlay, didn't want to cough that into the microphone. Okay. Did you see what his little brother did at the U.S. Junior Amateur today?
I did not. No, I haven't seen anything today. I've just been buried in work.
His name is Jack Cantlay. He's 18. And yes, I said the junior amateur. He probably qualified before he turned 18. Yeah. But he shot a nice solid 28 on the front of his round today. That would be 8 under par I think the juniors out at Bandon Dunes, and that's
that's called feeling it.
Good God. So anyway, shouts to the Cantlay family. They're having a great night. So before we get any deeper into this, I don't have a theory on anything more smarter, right?
We're crushing it tonight, man.
That's for the golf. That's for the golf players out there. They're more smarter. I don't have anything smarter than kind of the holy triumvirate of strokes gained putting, strokes gained approach, and what was my strokes gained putting, strokes gained approach, and strokes gained tee to green? Kind of this like holistic, this kind of like 30,000 foot view. Really, I'm looking at form.
It encompasses a lot. Yep.
And kind of this mantra of when it's not a major, when it's not a major or TPC or one of these new heightened events, I'm not really going to fight any kind of nuances, right? Like keep it kind of general. Don't get into the weeds figuratively and literally. But take those three. Now, that said, I want you to walk us through your model because
yes,
I usually come into this with my three, and then your model informs what I do.
So
which is working for me and not for you. Sorry, I had to rhyme that.
Yeah, I know it is. It's funny how that's happening. But what I was noticing when doing my research is that there's not a ton of like this is definitely more a get par and get out where you can kind of situation. It's not going to play necessarily incredibly hard, but I believe because I'm forgetting exactly what the typical course breakdown. There is how is it broken down here? It is.
I mean, it's 7,300 yards, and there's some par fives that are under 500 yards. There's some. It's a scoreable course.
It's a scoreable course, but that doesn't seem to be taken advantage of as much as it should be. Is what I'm trying to get at. It's only, and this is. Tell me what that is. Sorry. And I'm fumbling the ball here because I can't find the exact stat I saw earlier, and that's pissing me off. Here, the single round scores, the average is typically 1 or 2 under par. Like your most common single round scores are your 70s, your 71s, and your 69s. So I mean, we're not talking about guys going, on average crazy here with 6-5 under rounds. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but that's what we're going to be looking at for the majority of time. So the way I was viewing this is I want to find the guys that are going to be able to kind of stay in that grouping. So like you said, strokes gained approach, strokes gained putting are typically are on there this week. They're typically always making appearances in my models, but definitely this week I'm also including bogey avoidance because like I said, I want them to at least be getting those pars and stay in that close pack. And I'm also going to strokes gained short game for any of the chip plays around the green, not necessarily around the green.
It's a Donald Ross course. So
yeah. So strokes gained short game, and then greens and regulation gained almost as a way to double down on strokes gained approach. Just another kind of way to look at it. So those are my main key stats, and what that has given us is a pretty pricey top 10 model this week. So we got Homo, we got Cantlay, Keegan Bradley's priced at 9,200 this week, and we've said before when Keegan Bradley is popping in the model,
pops, yeah,
you gotta play him.
Literally the name I was just looking at.
9,200 is a bit pricey for Keegan Bradley for me, but this is one of those courses that he will tend to. It just shapes to his game well. But Tony Finau's in that top 10, Cameron Davis. Adam Scott, who I think is also overpriced at 9,300, so I probably won't be playing him, even though he's in that nice model for me. But then you get some guys that we haven't really talked about too much this year, and your Matt Kuchar's at 7,500. This is also that type of course that a guy like Matt Kuchar can come in and do all right. And now what I don't have right in front of me is his typical how he's done here. Not typical how he's done here in the past. He's actually not played here in the past 3 years since he's been on this course.
Past 3 years in existence, and my feelings on Matthew Kuchar.
And his recent form is that he has a T47 at the Scottish Open, and that's really the only tournament he's played on the tour in recent weeks. So
I feel you on the Kuch call. I could see, especially at 7,500, Kuchar could be a good, reliable filler on a lineup.
Sure. And that's exactly how I'd be looking at him. I'm not looking at him to be my highest scorer, the guy that anchors my winning lineup. I'm looking for him to to make the cut, which Matt Kuchar is very good at doing.
And
He's
I
a cut
see.
maker.
So if we're going, let's talk top down for a minute. Let's see,
Sure.
because you were talking about your model spitting out some pretty pricey talent.
Yeah, I want to make sure we hit some of the names that were in the top 10 so people at least knew who they were.
Well, I mean, I'm big on, and actually one wraps down. You just named them. I'm big on a couple of Cams and Will Zalatoris, and I think it's because Willie Z is in my category of first-time winners. Happen to win at the John Deere Classic, the 3M Open, and the Rocket City or Rocket Mortgage Classic. Like, this is one of those where him or a Taylor Gooch would have won for the first time. Although R.I.P. Goocher, see you on the live tour. But defending champion Cam Davis popping at 97. That was he 96, yes. 97. Yeah, I like that. I like that. But you know who I like even more, and I think is Cam Young. He is, I think, coming off that Open performance. Cam Young.
They're both right around 17% projected ownership right now, by the way.
Right, but that's yeah. And what's Willie Z?
I think he's probably going to be very popular. Sorry. If I could spell his name right, that'd be fantastic. Oh, actually, he's right around 12% right now. See, I would have thought Will Zalatoris would have been a bit more popular because he's that third price down in the 10K range, but he's not the lowest price guy in the 10K range. So I would have thought guys would have started there thinking they were going to be able to get a mathematical edge with the odds of who everyone's going to pick. But I think the reason why he is probably lower owned is probably some of the reasons why I'm not going to play him this week. And that's because he ranks very good in greens and regulation and 200-plus yard approaches. And strokes gained approach. Like he's very well in that. He is on any course he goes and plays. It's just what his game is. Where he does fall apart to me though is the putting. He's dreadful in this field. Dreadful putter in this field. Strokes gained, short game also dreadful in this field, and he's in the bottom half in bogey avoidances as well. So what worries me about Zalatoris is that he could, just as easy as he could have a round where he could be one of those, like he's got the type of game where he could break the mold and have a 5-6 under round at this course, but he could just as easily have a 3-4 over round and disappear right away.
I'll take my chances.
Okay.
Well, just because of the 12% ownership, and I think he's a reliable bet. Now
that makes it enticing because I don't disagree with you that this is the type of tournament that a first-time winner wins at, and he's primed to win very soon.
He lipped out at the Farmers at Torrey. He's done what he's done on the majors. He's done, and I mean, he's top 3. By the way, ironically enough, I'm over here preaching putting and short game, and he is 96th and 77th in those respectively. But like you said, when he's on, he's on. Ball striking, tee to green, and approach, he's top 3. And DK points, which, let's be honest, that's what it's all about. But it's honestly the first time that I think I'd feel comfortable. Now, if he was 10-1, if he was down at 10-1, I think you would see that up there, 17-18, that little bit of difference. But I don't mind anchoring him, especially like you said, knowing that there's going to be some Matt Kuchars or even like Adam Scott at 93. I don't hate, but that would be if I was going to try to take like a Cam and an Adam.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go with Willie Z, it really is going to be kind of a studs and duds and hope for a 5 out of 6 and hope that he's one of them kind of week.
Well, let me get to one of my favorite just so we can get as many guys in here. One of my favorite plays this week is someone like Davis Riley, who comes in with no history at this tournament, not enough rounds on correlating courses to really have any history here, but his recent form is good this season. He's 3rd in strokes gained approach, 8th in bogey avoidance, 16th in greens and regulations in this field. And then he's got between short game, putting, and 200 yards out, he's right around the 50-60 mark. So smack dab in the middle of the field, maybe a little bit better than the middle of the field. But I feel like he's the type of guy here who at 8,600, especially, let's see what his ownership's coming in at. 14%, a little higher than I would like that to be, actually.
Kid's a stud, man. I mean,
exactly.
But he's the same stud. I mean, he's Will Zalatoris, not light, but he's just, he's having the year that Willie Z had last year in a sort of a different way because Davis Riley's name's been up there. He's been a popular name.
Yep.
He's another University of Alabama guy. Shouts to the SEC. I can't wait to get into the fall and start talking college football on Divots and Pivots as well. But I like Davis Riley. He is in that same mold that you've been hearing me preach about, first-time winners, or even that kind of new cream rising to the top.
Sure. Yeah, so I do like Riley. Is there any, like, do you have a favorite play this week across any of these price ranges?
Actually, yeah, shockingly enough. And I didn't want to, and it was really more of kind of not confirmation bias. I think, what did I say before the show? It was empowering to hear you kind of pump him up a little bit. I think Keegan Bradley's going to win, like to the point
he's
where
going to win.
I think he's going to win. Like
Okay.
I think either him
I
or
would love it. I would love to see it happen. I would love to see him win again.
I after what happened to him, nothing happened to him. He choked,
Sure.
he blew it.
Yes.
But after what happened at the Players,
Yep.
and then the number of times that he has popped and we've played or at least highlighted him and you've played him, and then all of a sudden he goes off.
He's one of the few guys that consistent. If he pops, it's true.
And I think maybe the stars are aligning. All right, now let's talk about strokes gained home life. And I don't know anything about him personally, but I'm talking about my cosmic home life thing and the way all this live golf is shaking out. And then you got this player like Keegan Bradley, former major winner. I don't know if he was approached by Liv. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. From what I'm reading too, it's not necessarily just that. You got players' agents reaching out to Greg Norman. So the game is on, the heat is on. And he might have just looked around and been like, "Wait a minute, I've done this before. I've won." All right, yeah, and not in like an ego way, but like a just kind of like what the hell? Like I can do this. I've done it before. Let's get back out there. Yeah. Now there's 140 some odd guys teeing it up, and every single one of them is a pro, and they all have that mental self willing to do it. But again, Keegan being a former major winner, having a couple brushes with greatness, and maybe saying I got a couple more years to really maybe snag another major, maybe get a Players, maybe do a Ryder Cup run, like so. And with other people kind of parting ways, who knows? Maybe that's my play for this week, and it is because of the season that we've had so far with seeing him in our models pop up. So Keegan, hit it hard. I'm not going to be one of those hardo that says like lock it in, because
that's not our style here. Come on.
It's golf. It won on 146. It's not like you're picking the Bears and the Bears and the under. Like, come on.
Let's talk.
Yours?
So Davis Riley is one of them, but another guy I also like that appears just before him in my model, but is $1,400 less, is Wyndham Clark this week. He's another
last week.
Yep, I know you did. So he's another guy who, as far as data on correlating courses, he doesn't have enough to suffice that, but his recent form has been great. He's 5th in strokes gained, short game 17th in putting, 7th in 200 plus, 21st in both greens and regulation and bogey avoidances. His strokes gained approach is his only real weak spot here, and that could be I don't know how to explain that. That's his biggest thing. But if he's doing greens and regulation at ranked 21st while he's ranked 129th in strokes gained approach, it means he's at least able to scramble, I say. He's at least able to get himself back into position to score here. So I'd be willing to take a chance on Wyndham Clark, who was coming in at, I believe, just under 10% ownership. And when I'm playing some other guys who are going to be around that 14%, I got to just try to find some guys who are in that single digit. And Clark could be a nice little pivot for me there to find that gold.
I like Clark, and I like taking Clark's profile and finding the cheapest, lowest owned version of, and trying to replace because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pack that in. Again, I'm not used to dropping 10-4 on a 10, on an anchor. I like to live in the 9s and the 8s.
Me too. We definitely play it the same.
But I do think that the stars kind of align for Willie Z. And I really might try to snag Willie and Keegan and then just go low and try to really well, again, it's the kind of tournament that somewhere down there in the 6 and 7s are some people on the FedEx Cup points list that are in the 130s and they're extra hungry, or they're they know that they've got to finish top whatever just to get to next week to get. So that's where you're going to find, I think, a lot of value, and that's that strokes gained home life where you find out who's on the bubble watch. Make your models, take your 30. And I'll be honest with you, Fantasy National, I basically take whatever when I build my model and then I get out of there so you can have your time actually doing real stuff. But I go in there and I find whatever my most important stat for the week is, rank them by that. I select the top 35 as my favorites, and then I go in deeper and build a model based on those guys.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to go about it.
It's actually served me pretty well. It's kind of that initial filter because there's so much data.
I was just going to say, you got to narrow down your research field, or you're just not going to have enough time to get the research done, or you're not going to be able to look as deep as you need to find the edges. So that's a fantastic approach and point to point out to everybody listening.
And the last shout out to Michigan is my mom used to say, no decision is the worst decision. So like you said, you got to pick something to kind of start peeling back, because you can always turn around, you can always start over, but not doing anything is just going to leave you sitting there, and then watching. Don't be the person going, oh, I almost played him. Just play him. Play him this week.
I've been that person before.
Let's see. Anything else left on the docket before we take this thing?
Well, I was going to say real fast, one more guy. I just want to see how you feel about him here before we run out of time. How do you feel about Kurt Kitayama? Because he's someone who has popped recently.
Talented. Super talented.
So he's popped recently in some other tournaments. He's only played here once in 2020, missed the cut. Let me see what his recent fall. But he finished 72nd at the Open. He finished second at the Genesis Scottish Open. Like he's been in the mix.
If he's popping on your model and his ownership isn't, I wouldn't be shocked if he's pretty chalky, because that is a popular name.
So he's 17th in my model, and he's coming in right now around 6% ownership.
That's I'd hit that, and I'd hit that hard.
That's
because
exactly
he is one of those talented younger golfers that fits the mold of all the quote unquote next wave of gunslingers. It's like Matty Wolf, all these, they're gone. They just, there's a gap there of talent that is going to be filled by the Kitayamas, and he could be.
Well, and playing Kitayama there with the other guys that I've talked about allows me to go right to the number one man in my model this week, Max Homa.
I absolutely love me some Max Homa. He's a great social media follow.
He's always a show favorite of ours.
I saw a tweet of his when he went on vacation recently, and he's like, I'm not a vacation guy. I'm in the airport and I've already done 2 ghost swings, golfers. He's funny, and watching him enjoy, we were all Max Homa last week, watching him play with Tiger and living out that thing where he tweeted at Tiger 13 years ago. The whole picture, and shouts to the RNA for putting that together, because Matt Fitzpatrick being the U.S. Open champion, that made sense. Max Homa made no sense other than a good story and a good time. And that's what we're about here on Divots and Pivots, is a good story, a good time, and may your squares always be green. Back to you in the studio, Andrew.
Just like the walls behind me. We had to sneak that in there. But that is going to do it for us here on Divots and Pivots this week. So if you're watching us live here on YouTube, thank you. Make sure to catch us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube. You can also find the YouTube link if you go to bellyup.tv. You can find our live show there. You can find all of our shows from the past on demand, as well as every other show on the Belly Up Media Network on demand, whatever your fancy is. You can find it on bellyup.tv. I almost screwed up the link there. And as always, you can catch the replay of this on Wednesday mornings, roughly 10 o'clock. We'll also at that time be going live on all of your podcast platforms, your Spotify's, your iHeartRadios, all wherever you fancy finding your podcast. Let's just use fancy in 2 sentences back to back. That's impressive. You can find us around 10, 12 o'clock Eastern. On all your platforms is when it gets loaded up. And then in the afternoon tomorrow, you'll see both of our picks that get to go up against each other. I got to make a comeback on Bud here. So this is the week where I won't be able to retake the throne here unless he absolutely shits the bed and I crush it. But we're going to close the gap this week so that we can – it's moving day. That's what we're calling it. It's moving day. This week's going to be moving day for me in our little pool. So stay tuned. Check us out at Real Mr. Mallet, at This Bud's For You, at Divots and Pivots. We'll have content for you. We're going to be boosting up that content on the Divots and Pivots account as well, so keep an eye out for that. And as always, thank you. Thank you, Piper Golf. Thank you, In the Clutch. And thank you, Belly Up, as always, for producing and making this happen for us. We'll see you next week. Have a fantastic day, everyone.